Welcome to Combat Corner. This is our first episode, and we have a very special guest today. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Mark Six James, author, protection specialist, firearms combative instructor.
That's a whole lot. We got a real warrior with us, so we want to talk about warrior class, today's modern day warrior class, which you are a part of. What got you into protection specialist? What made you become a protection specialist?
I kind of fell into it by accident. I was running my sales and marketing consulting business, and I used to teach legislators and judges and business executives how to shoot for personal protection. And then campaign time would roll around, and one of my legislators said, "Mark, we care about the same things in the community. We're always at the same meetings. You teach me how to shoot. You're good with people. You're good at talking to people. My family actually feels safe when you're around. Do you mind traveling with me? Because we're getting ready to start the legislature, and we're going to start people running for campaigns." And that's actually how I got into it by default.
Well, so basically, your warrior spirit kind of just mailed it over there. It's like, yeah, I'm doing this, but
Right.
that warriorness
Well,
kicked in because you were still training other people on personal safety.
Absolutely. But it's like anything else. I spent 22 years in corporate America, and most long-term successful careers are built on personal strengths used by people who enjoy what they do. I've always enjoyed firearms, always enjoyed martial arts, two of the hard skills in protective services, so I already had that piece. I spent 22 years in corporate America building high-performing teams, and a protection agency was just a different high-performing team.
Yeah.
It's a different set of competencies. So I knew how to market, so I said if I decided to do that business, I would be able to do it. And then like anything else, you start doing something part-time, and there comes a point where you have to make a business decision because your part-time is earning like your full-time, or it's taking up as much time. And so you start saying, okay, if this is it, I may as well be fully committed.
Yeah, because now it's like, I am a warrior.
Right.
This is my niche anyway.
Correct.
So why not do what I love?
Absolutely, and that's exactly how I fell into the protection business.
That's a great story. Interesting, because I always remember being on the bus with a brother and him giving me marketing strategies on 52 blocks. So I always will appreciate that. As far as a protection specialist, is it about being a violent person, or is it about protecting your client?
It's really about protecting the client. A lot of people have the wrong perception of what we do. Now, if it goes bad, yes, you have to have those defensive skills also. But you're about protecting them from physical safety, protecting their brand, protecting their image. And what I always try to tell people, if you're fighting, your client's unprotected.
Wow.
So
most people don't even look at it like that.
So the reality is because, hey, how many situations, how many assassination attempts have we seen because a diversion took place?
True.
And you were so focused on the diversion that you lost sight of the real business this was just a diversion because somebody else had that job of taking care of the other part of the business.
Now think about that. Now you have high-end clients.
Mm-hmm.
How do you maintain, what keeps you like mentally focused and mentally, just stern as far as what's going on around you?
I never forget what my job is. There's other people around us from time to time who might be able to relax. They might be able to enjoy the party.
Yeah.
They might be able to enjoy the grand gala, black tie gala.
Yeah.
But my focus is always about monitoring behaviors, what doesn't fit, what's out of focus. So while people are looking at pictures, and from time to time they might see me in a picture, and they'll say, "Hey, I saw you at such and such. Man, I bet you guys were having a ball." I'm like, "Well, I was just doing my job." So people around me were having a great time. Now I was having a ball because I happen to work for great clients.
Yeah.
And we have mutual respect, and that's what makes it worthy and worthwhile and makes you want to get up and go do it every day. But mine is about business, and I think as long as you keep your focus on the business, you never have a problem.
That's what you just said. You're focused on that person and then realizing things can be in diversion and stuff like that. Have you ever, within this country or outside the country, is there backup? Do you have somebody to back you up?
Yes, it's like anything else. Situation dictates the tactics, it dictates the tools, it dictates the coverage strategy. So based on what we have going around us, whether in the environment, if there's some type of indirect threat, direct threat, or something, it makes me say, here's how I need to staff appropriately in order to, here's the tools that we need to carry
Yeah.
in order to work appropriately. And anytime you could ever have local knowledge,
Yeah.
it always benefits you. I can bring people who are part of my team on a lot of details with me, but if I go to Chicago and run the South Side, if they don't know the South Side of Chicago, they don't know the environment, they don't know the culture, they don't know the tone, they don't know the energy, they don't know the baseline
Yeah.
of that city, of that street at that time. It's so much easier to hire a protection specialist that I work with, that I trained, who happens to be from Chicago, who knows the energy of that city. Because, you know, everybody talks about situational awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Situational awareness is what allowed me to recover from this awkward situation. I need situational fluency. So we never get targeted. So I want to move myself from the object of this person's desire to want to have an interaction with us. That's situational fluency.
Oh, okay. That seems like more of a martial arts mindset of just being able to take somebody, what is that, Aikido that says they can take an enemy and make them into a friend in a sense. So that's that warrior mindset of like, I can do this, because I can do some other stuff.
That's the whole Aiki, that's the whole fusion, right?
Yeah.
We're fused into that culture so that we don't stand out, so that we look like we belong,
Yeah.
right? That way we don't become a target of someone's attention.
Makes sense, man. Hey, okay. Now, in being a protection specialist and in doing what you have to do and keeping the people, do you have to pull weapons, or are you able to diffuse situations or handle situations without weapons? And if you had to use weapons, how does that work with law enforcement?
Well, the thing I always tell people is that the situation dictates what we have to do. If we can mitigate the risk, then we don't have to do the hard skills. People always think about protective services, and they think about the ability to fight. They maybe think about the protective and evasive driving. They think about the hard skills. Can you shoot? Well, if I can bring you into access controlled entrance, we have no forced interaction, there's a little likelihood they'll have to use those other hard skills. If I bring you up the service elevator, no one knows you're in a hotel, we probably don't have to worry about the interaction. But if I bring you through the lobby and everybody's wondering when the elevator goes up to the floor, well, are they on the 15th floor, the 16th? That's why the elevator stopped.
Yeah.
So now they're floor surfing all day. So once again, what we're trying to do is remove ourselves from the object of people's attention so we don't have to have that forced interaction. But if we do, the situation will dictate where we are. But I think the one thing that, and I know you can appreciate, from all your training in the arts, is that you can't talk me into a confrontation.
That's right.
So there's nothing that you're going to say or do, no matter how abrasive you say it, it's going to make us have a confrontation.
Exactly.
So if you put your hands on me, I'll give you an opportunity to take them off.
Yeah.
But after that, Bill Maher says we got no rules at that point. But so once you really understand what you're there for, and where people get in trouble is when they don't understand our job is cover and evacuate. It's not about engagement. It's about breaking contact if we have to.
Yeah.
And in today's world, everybody has a cell phone, takes great videos.
Yeah.
You're going to be on World Star Hip Hop before you get your client back to the hotel.
I got you.
So, and even if we're legally right, it's $50,000 in attorney fees for the judge to say you were legally right. How about we just don't have a confrontation?
So basically, the cerebral is more of the art than it. So it's like the arts in general.
There
period.
You
is
go.
that we have to use our minds to control our physical position.
Yep.
And the thing is, I can relate. That just the other day, somebody parked in my driveway.
Well, okay, that's right.
And I'm like, you're on my property, and he's being rude and talking crazy. But I engaged him, looked him in his eyes, let him know that there ain't no punk over here.
Right.
I need you to get off my property.
Right.
He did a bunch of woofing. He sold some woof tickets.
Yeah.
I wasn't buying none. And then eventually he just got up because he knew that he wasn't going to do anything to me.
Yeah.
So I get how the cerebral, and that's how we should live our lives.
Right,
As
right.
warriors, that's how we do live our lives. We live our lives being able to have a physical, being able to, if somebody wants a confrontation and they physically put our hands on us, we're able to protect ourselves.
Right. Yep.
But most of the time, since we know what that consists of, we don't want to get in that because we know it's a bunch of trouble. You gotta beat somebody down, you gotta call the police, you gotta call an ambulance.
And like you said, I'm gonna have to hurt you really bad to be able to leave my own property.
Exactly.
Right. So it's not even worth it. I always tell new people in my business, control the emotion of the moment before it escalates into physical confrontation.
Let's go back into that. Now, you have a young warrior, and he still has that energy in him, and he wants to be a warrior, and he doesn't know what the occupations of being a warrior, how to go about it. Now, your occupation is a protection specialist. If somebody's like, okay, they watch this video and they say, dang, I want to be a protection specialist now, what should they do to stay in this warrior class?
I would say you need to go to somebody's Bodyguard Training Academy, because there's so much about the business that oftentimes people don't know. I ask them, okay, you might be able to fight, but can you de-escalate a situation? Are you good in negotiations? You might be able to shoot a firearm, but can you shoot it when you're moving and a bunch of other people are moving? Now, you can count on the history of the Secret Service how many gun battles they've been in on one hand.
Wow.
Now, they're never not strapped,
Yeah.
but they find other ways to not have to go to that level of aggression, to not have to go to that level of elevation. So, can you do protective evasive driving? Do you have medical skills? Because if you carry the sword, right, you have to be able to heal from injuries that are related to the sword. Because remember, the other guy has a sword too.
Yeah.
And he might be pretty good also, right? So do you have medical training? Do you have protective and evasive driving training? Do you have de-escalation, training? What level of medical training do you have? You might have a client who let's say has had a heart attack in his life. Maybe I need to hire a guy also who was a prior EMS, because he has real medical training. So if this guy has an adverse heart situation, he really can sustain him and keep him alive until the other EMSs can transport him to the hospital.
So, in saying that, so if a young man or woman wants to become a protection specialist, they should also look into those aspects of communication and emergency medical help.
Absolutely.
And those are things that would help them within that.
Absolutely. Negotiations, learning how to use a computer, being very, literate on a computer, very literate with the smartphones, learning how to do advances. If you could pick up another language along the way, what are the things that you enjoy doing that you see some of the clients that you like to work in? Let's say if you're a skier, there's a ton of people who like to ski, right? If you can't get down the mountain and your client's always skiing, he's going to be unprotected, right? So there's a whole business for people who are skiers.
Wow.
There's a whole business for people who like to scuba dive. There's a whole business, you just have to find that specialty niche. There's a whole business for people who can speak Spanish, who can speak Chinese, right? Who can speak various languages. So there's ways that you can create specialness for yourself, because if all you can do is fight, and 99.5% of the time we're not fighting, then what value do you bring?
Wow.
Every one day I just gotten back from Switzerland, and a guy saw me, he said, Mark, he says, hey man, I just saw you guys, I saw your client post some stuff, you guys were in Switzerland, and he's like, well, man, if you ever need an extra hand, give me a holler, I'd love to go with you. And I asked him, I said, well, what languages do you speak? And he said, well, I just speak English. I said, I had a guy with me who was EMS, another guy with me over there who was a bomb specialist. So I had EMS, a bomb specialist, they all have martial arts training, they all have protective evasive driving training. And between those two guys, I had 15 languages covered. There was no place in Europe we were going to go where we could not converse with people.
I see that's the fact that you break down the education behind the protection specialist is something that is needed, because a lot of young warriors don't realize why they are going to school or why they are pursuing certain things, because they still have that energy in them.
And sometimes with the energy and the touching people, oftentimes comes from people who come out of club security environments, where they're used to touching people, or they grew up in a neighborhood where how many people you beat up defines your badness, right? And so at this point, in our life, that's not what we're trying to do. So I think one of the best things the arts gives you is, once you get comfortable with yourself and you can take care of yourself, there's no value in hurting this man because you can hurt him. So it is so easy to walk away and say, hey brother, have a blessed day, man. You got us confused with somebody else. Because I can control me.
Yeah.
I can control me. And so I am always 100% in control of me. And that's usually the hardest thing that people have to do. Even people that come out of the military, they're used to carrying a weapon, right?
Yeah.
But their primary weapon is a long gun. Our primary weapon is a handgun.
Yeah.
They're used to an overwhelming display of offense when they're attacking somebody.
Yeah.
We're always on the defense. We don't get to attack first. So the rules of engagement are very different. You know, people ask me, you know, when I wrote Defensive Handgun 2, they said, I get people say, Mark, you just got to clear a room like SWAT. I said, I could, but I won't. And they get this dumbfounded look like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, can everybody in your family run a gun? They're like, well, no, not really. I said, do you have any flashbangs? That's because SWAT throws a flashbang in the room before they go in, right? To disorient the bad guy. So you don't have the tools, you don't have the training, so why would I teach you a skill that you don't have the other tools to extend the capabilities to do?
Wow.
But I can teach you how to take corners and angles and how to use layers to keep you safe. Those are things you can do as a civilian. Those are things that you have the capabilities of.
You mentioned your book. Let us know the name of the book again.
Defensive Handgun 2.
And we can get it at?
On Amazon.
Okay. Now, go get that book. Last question, and I got two more questions for you. First, do you have a warrior code?
Absolutely.
And what was your warrior code?
Yeah, my code is pretty simple. It's loyalty, discipline, and humility.
I like that.
And you know, hey, and you know, and I think as a warrior, you have to believe in something other than yourself. And most people who I know who really believe in their code, whatever their code is, there's some higher being that they believe in. And you know, I'm a Christian, so you know, I bow down to God, you know, all the time. And I give Him thanks for everything that He's blessed my life with. So I have loyalty to my family. I have loyalty to the clients that I choose to say that I'm going to protect. And I have loyalty to my friends, and my friends have been my friends for 30 years. And they're still my friends today. And when it comes to discipline, in order to be successful in anything, you have to have discipline. Because there's times when the fun is not there. And you have to have the discipline that gets you up in the morning, that keeps you doing the craft, that keeps you, you know, getting better. And you have to be humble. And like I said, you know, you know who you are, you know what you bring. So I don't need to send a parade to my office to say, Mark, you're doing a good job. You know, that's the humility that comes with the job. And I know that, you know, hey, I'm not the star, I protect stars, right? Yeah. So, and I'm 100% okay with living in the shadows.
I love that.